and say a pleasant good evening to all of you who are here already. Those of you in Dominica, it's always a pleasure. Those of you in the Eastern Caribbean, that is the space in which we live. Or those of you much further afield, a pleasant good evening to you, no matter where you are at this time. Those of you who may be in a different time zone at this time, greetings and welcome to you as well. I know I have some friends in China. They normally listen. I have a good buddy in Russia. She normally listens as well. And there's a friend of mine in Syria. He normally listens as well. So I don't know if they're there now, but I normally get feedback from them. And they say that whenever they get the opportunity, they always tune in. And so basically with technology these days, wherever you are in real time, you can be seeing and hearing everything in real time. That is the power and benefit of technology. And so we say thanks to whoever is making that kind of technology happen in the times in which we live. Yes? You remember the days, folks, when you wanted to communicate with your people overseas, and then you would have to write that good old important letter. And that would sometime, based on the destination, take at least 6 weeks to get there and 6 weeks to come back in terms of a response. These days, everything is like instant coffee. All right? You just dial up a number, and a couple seconds, you may get that other person on the next side of the line. Yeah? And so we are making advancement, and yes, we are benefiting, or supposed to be benefiting from the advancement. Yeah? All right, so folks, a pleasant good evening again. I just stepped up the voice a little bit here. I find it was a little too flat. Those of you who are sick in bed, those of you who are whatever you're suffering from, a special greetings to you. I always know that you guys are tuned in as well. My good friend in Bath Estate, I visited you this week. You're down in bed. My dear friend, but you tell me, Lofty, I'm always tuned in with you whenever you go live. Yeah? So thank you very much, my good old friend in Bath Estate. I visited someone in the Mont Prosper area this week, gone. And so there are many, many persons tuned in at this time. That young lady, I must say, she's going through her struggles as well, but she and her household, they are always tuned in. And just before I forget, let me just put it out right here, right now. This lady that I'm mentioning here in Mont Prosper, she basically, in terms of her privacy, she doesn't want her name mentioned. Celia King, I really don't know what is happening to your end of it. I heard you said a while ago there's an echo. I saw you repeat it again, that everything I say is being repeated. From my end, everything is okay. My levels on there are okay. And so I'm not hearing, I'm not getting that feedback. So, and they say, so most likely, you may want to restart your device and see if that rectifies the problem. But from my end, everything is okay. I'm not getting that reverb, yeah? So check it out. Yeah, this lady in the Mont Prosper area, I was saying before, she's sick. A matter of fact, she is on dialysis as we speak with some kidney problem. And when I visited her, we had a chat, you know, chat. And I asked her, what can I do for her? What can I do for her? She said, Lofty, the most you can do is during your live sessions, then maybe you can just give out a number, and that is an account number of hers that she has access to, that just in case you guys out there may be willing to contribute to her in terms of a financial help for her, which will go towards her health situation. And so I'll be giving out that number. Or you know something, before I forget, let me just give out that number right away. And I'll also plug it in the live feed that we have in here, so that just in case you did not get it, then you can get it on the live feed, yeah? And as I said, get it on the live feed. And you will want to agree with me as well that some people, even if they are going through their challenges, they still want a level of privacy. And so we have to respect that. But I'm just asking now, if you see it fit, the account number that I'll be giving out here right now in just a bit, if you can punch something financial to her. And it is no scam, people. I sat with her. She has other ailments as well. But she don't want to come live on camera. And so she just asked if you guys are willing out there to contribute something to a cause. She would be very, very grateful indeed. Yeah? Let me see if I just get that account number here. Where is it? Where is it? Okay, the account number, people, it is 209. Yes. Let me just write it down myself. 209-856-00. And I believe that is a credit union's account number. I believe it is the Roseau NCCU Credit Union's number, if I'm not mistaken, but that is the account number. Let me just punch it in the live feed, so some of you, if you did not get it, then you can see that, and so you can make that all-important contribution, financial contribution that is, to this lady who is in need, yeah? So it's 209-856-00, yes? That is the account number right there. Let's plug that in here. All right, so that's the account number of the person on dialysis. I just plugged it into the live feed. Yeah, so if you feel you want to give, then please feel free to do that. Clarolyn Warrington, good evening to you. Jaira Hector, Celia King, Desmond Abraham, Medina, St. House, Carol Fontaine, Dave Butran, Brother Alistair, Irish, Lendell, Johnson, Claudette, Durant, Janice Felix, Yakima, McCoy, Mary Jo, good evening to you. Albertine Regis, Eliza Louis Gomes, Connie, Roberts, Yvonne Abel, Robert Alexander, Curvo, good evening to you. Marina Charles, Trisha, Henderson, Theodora, Anthony, Euphrasia, Hippolyte, Mali, Austri, Annette, Mongery, and the list goes on and on in terms of the number of persons already here. Thank you very, very much indeed. As I was saying before, those of you who are sick and you in the viewing and listening audience, thank you very much. I just pray that, the good Lord above look down upon that ailment of yours and come by means of his power and administer to you, wherever it is, that healing balm, yeah? Those of you who may be suffering at this time because of the loss of a loved one, I sympathize with you as well, and I want to thank the number of us who on the chat as well. We sympathize with you. Okay, Celia, thank you very much as well. Those of you celebrating, whatever you're celebrating, the birth of a newborn, a number of school children had the graduation last week, some to come still, and so whatever in terms of celebrations, birthday, we want to celebrate with you as well. All right, so I want to say congratulations to all the young ones who did well. Congratulations and keep going. Those of you who did not do too well, try a bit harder. And yes, a matter of fact, anyway, let me not get into that topic now. That might stray me. I was going to talk about vocational education as per the ordinary type of education, the doctorates and whatever we're accustomed of knowing, but that will kind of stray. We'll pick that up another time. Yeah, but whatever it is you are engaging, then yes, indeed, we celebrate with you at this time. I'm being told here from the grapevine, and there's not much I can give on that. We know him as the chicken man in Dominica. That is Mr. Malcolm Stephen. I'm being told from factual end that he's not doing too well at this time. And so, Mr. Stevens, we here, we empathize with you at this time, you and your family. We just pray to God that you get healed from whatever you're going through, and you will be back with us in one piece and continue to contribute to Dominica in the way that you alone can. So to the Stevens family at this time, we just uphold Brother Malcolm Stephen at this time. Yeah? A lot of us know this brother from Canefield. I saw Maxim Powell join here. Maxim, good evening to you, my bro. And the crew from Canefield, this brother, Mr. Stevens, you know, he's a household name in Dominica, a businessman at heart, a cheerful one at that. And so we always want to recognize these people when they are not on the up and up, as it were. Yeah? And so everyone else, same in terms of sentiments to you as well. All right, Dominicans, friends, fans, followers, foes, yes. This evening we're going to look at some international news. First up, we heard of the election that was just held in England, yes, where basically the power, a real shift in terms of power went on there from the Conservatives to the Labour Party in England. We'll get some of that in just a while. And even further afield, we heard that, well, we knew about the death of this Iranian president sometime back, where his helicopter that he was traveling in crashed into a very mountainous region, and he ended up losing his life in the process. Just following international news this week, then there was a new president that the Iranian people elected to serve them and their interests as president. What I can say based on what I heard from the news sources, the news outlet, is that this president-elect, that is, he has sort of vowed to sort of work closer or try to mend fences, as it were, with the West. We know how that relationship goes, where Iran and the rest of the Western world is concerned. But this president, he said, or that is his early up posture that he's taking on. Let's see how much he can do in that endeavor. He also said that with this situation where the rights of women in his country are basically trampled upon, especially the wearing of the hijab, then he will be looking into that to see how we can lessen the load, as it were, on the female gender in Iran and across that part of the world. Yeah? But folks, let us now just go to the piece that really made headlines across the globe as it pertains to the election. We just concluded the election in the British community. Let us get that piece and we will be moving from there. Also, just before I play that to you guys in terms of a 2 minutes update, we all felt, some of us in Dominica, those of you in the region as well, some felt it more than the others. And so I'm talking now about Hurricane Beryl. Hurricane Beryl is still causing havoc. The last I heard, it is going, well, Mexico is supposed to be getting the wrath of it, if not all now as we speak. And then it is moving up to the, the Americas, that is Texas, and it is moving up. As a matter of fact, when it was somewhere in Mexico, they about it toned down, lose steam. And, but based on reports, it is sort of switching back into much more forceful winds. And so we just ask that those who are in the path of burial continue to remain safe at this time. But we in the region, Dominica, we felt a little of it. At least we were spared the real wrath of burial, I must say. And so we want to give the Creator thanks for that. But St. Vincent and the Grenadines, especially the south of St. Vincent, we've been told really got a pounding. Many people are without homes as we speak. And so I'll be getting an update from a young lady, a friend of mine in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, sometime later in the hour. I'll be touching base with her to just give us a snapshot as to how she and her people, they are coping in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Also, Barbados got a nice little touch as well from burial, and so I'll be trying to make contact with another brother of mine in Barbados who will be giving us an update, read the effects of burial that they are now contending with. Jamaica, I am being told 2 people lost their lives in Jamaica as a result. It is reported, allegedly lost their lives. They are unaccounted for. I tried to make contact with at least 1 or 2 persons in Jamaica, but you well imagine that situation proved futile, and so I'll be trying my best sometime during the week, and so to give you guys an update. So for tonight's discussion, confirmed so far, an update from Barbados and St. Vincent coming up in just a bit, yeah? When we finish with our folks in the region, we always turn to our local matters here. And so tonight on the agenda, as it pertains to our local matters here, I know some of you, if not most of you, always rely on yours truly to bring to you the facts on certain national issues, especially in a broken down fashion that you can understand, you can digest much better. And so of late, we have been hearing this debacle, this situation, this ongoing situation, I must say, as it relates to the position of the leader of opposition in Dominica. And so I'll be bringing you some factual writing, some factual wording as it relates to that situation in Dominica. So please stay tuned for all the factual situations surrounding. As we are now, presently, Dominica is without, on paper that is, the leader of an opposition in this country, yeah? So we'll be bringing you some facts surrounding that. And to tone it down tonight, we're going to turn our attention to the electoral reform coalition movement. Tomorrow is the big day in Dominica as it relates to this continued thrust for free, fair, and transparent general elections in Dominica. So that will bring down the curtains on things. And so I will try my best to do what I normally do best, is to help inspire, help motivate the people of Dominica, those who have a conscience for country, to come out and stand in defense of country as it pertains to free, fair, and transparent general elections. Tomorrow, folks, there will be no live Civic Vibes program, as yours truly will be carrying the event live from the arch, under the arch that is, between the 2 bridges in Roseau. So that is where your civic program will be done tomorrow between the 2 bridges, yeah? So having said that, Dominica, let's go back from the top and go now to this breaking story where in England, that is, there was a great power shift in terms of the Labour Party in England basically sweeping the polls as it pertains to the grabbing power. Yeah? All right.
Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and the Conservative Party that has led Britain.
Let's take that from the top, people. Let's take that from the very top. Yeah?
Turning to politics in Britain, where today's election is expected to bring a dramatic shift in power, polls show voters are likely to throw out Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and the Conservative Party that has led Britain since 2010 in favor of Keir Starmer and the Labour Party. MTS Taya has more.
When Prime Minister Rishi Sunak announced the election,
over the next few weeks, I will fight for every vote. I will earn your trust.
it was the soggiest of starts,
So that's
which led to a clumsy campaign. From criticisms for ditching the 80th anniversary of the D-Day landings early to record a TV interview, to being skewered for saying he could relate to struggling families because he didn't have cable TV as a child.
That was something that we never had growing up, actually.
Sunak and his wife, it should be said, are wealthier than the king himself. As voters go to the polls, support for his leadership has sunk to the lowest of lows, says political journalist and co-host of the News Agents podcast, John Sobel.
And this is going to be the most brutal massacre that the Conservative Party has seen in its near 200-year history.
Over the past 14 years, there have been 5 successive Conservative prime ministers. First, David Cameron, who resigned when the Brexit referendum he called didn't go the way he wanted it to. Next up, Theresa May, who quit because she couldn't secure a divorce deal from Europe. Then Boris Johnson, whose chaotic premiership ended in humiliation after boozy parties during COVID lockdown were revealed. Then came Liz Truss, who after one budget announcement saw her time in office cut so short that it was compared to the shelf life of an iceberg lettuce.
But a vote for Labour is a vote to turn the page on all that. A vote for change.
Sir Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour Party, looks set to win a landslide, but not because he's popular or has run a great campaign.
I don't think there's enthusiasm for Keir Starmer, but he's going to win a huge majority because people are sick and tired of having the Conservatives in power.
And Labour isn't just campaigning on change, but also to end what they call the years of chaos at the hands of the Conservative government, stressing they'll be the party of economic responsibility, a message the Conservatives successfully ran on for generations. We'll find out later tonight just how well that message will work for Labour. Michelle.
All right, folks, let me just let you hear this line one more time before we bring this to a wrap here. This line right here.
People are sick and tired of having the Conservatives in power.
And Labour isn't just campaigning on change, but also to end what they call the years of chaos at the hands of the Conservative government, stressing they'll be the party of economic responsibility, a message the Conservatives successfully ran on for generations. We'll find out later tonight just how well that message will work for Labour. Michelle.
All right, folks, basically I allowed you to listen to at least that line one more time, because with each party or with each election that is held, you normally hear promises. And so with that major shift in the UK elections that just concluded this week here, the Labour Party, through its Prime Minister, is again promising the UK people certain things. And I would want to think that he and his party would live up to their promises to the people of the United Kingdom, who they said they were basically fed up. They were basically fed up with the Mr. Sunak and his conservative regime in terms of not being able to bring home the goods. And not stretching that topic too much, but some of the reasons that some of the people voted out or did not vote, the conservative government back into power. If you hear some of these reasons, you wonder, but wait a while, are these people serious? And so I am saying that to draw now an analogy to us in Dominica. If you talk to 8 out of 10 people in Dominica, you will hear that sentiment that they are fed up. We are fed up. The economy is not going anywhere. Things have been at a stalemate for so long in terms of the economy. And so what is it that the UK people can do in terms of their electoral cycle that we just cannot seem to do in Dominica. And so your guess is as good as mine, but we will get into some of that in terms of more details later in the program. Yeah? But the world is basically saying, hey, if you have a government and the government is not working for you, for the people, then you vote them out. And that is simple put. And so right there in the UK, then you had a clear example of just what I'm talking about tonight in terms of the shift. A dramatic shift in the putting out of one and adopting the other. Let us see, Dominicans, if we can muster the courage to do that in Dominica as it pertains to our own affairs in this country. Yeah? Let me just run through that live feed to see if I have any comments from you guys before I move into the next segment of the conversation here tonight. Jaira Hector says, Jah will never let his people suffer forever. Change is about to happen in Dominica. Well, Jaira, I concur with you, but let us see if your words will come true as it relates to us in Dominica. Yeah? All right, let me now see if I can get some updates. Let me just call my brother first up in Barbados, see if I can get an update from him as to the ravages that was caused and they're going through in Barbados at this time. Hi, Mr. Fort. Mr. Fort, are you there?
You can hear me?
I am hearing you, yes.
Yeah.
You hearing me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, very well. Yeah, Mr. Fort, you are live on my program. That is my Lofty Live Saturday engagement with my people in Dominica and across the globe. And so people are now listening to you live, every word that you'll be saying thereafter. Good afternoon to you, my brother.
Good afternoon to you and to all the viewers and listeners.
Yes, Mr. Fort, I'm calling you read the effects of Beryl, what Beryl, Hurricane Beryl left in terms of what you guys now have to contend with in Barbados.
Yeah, so I mean...
Can you provide an update? Yeah, sorry, can you provide an update?
Yeah, sure. And, you know, the passing of Hurricane Beryl was something that we didn't quite anticipate to have, especially so quickly, you know, developed to the state in which it did. Right now, the main effects of damage and loss, thankfully, you know, we didn't have any loss of life reported. But our fisheries industry, fisheries sector has been completely devastated by Hurricane Beryl. We had reports of, I believe it was over 200 fishing vessels have been damaged, 30 so far that has been confirmed as having sank, in addition to one or two pleasure crafts. These are the party boats, for example, that would have sank as well. That in addition to having most of our entire south coast and certain parts of the northern west coast, completely shaken up with extreme flooding, literally having the ocean, you know, come up onto the land, and right now we're just trying to manage with the cleanup of those coastal areas. And I mean, for the fisheries industry, again, there's been the biggest loss, and they're just trying to kind of gather themselves and put a plan of action in place of how we could recover from it.
Okay, good. So basically, you are reporting here the main loss is in the fishing sector, fishing industry.
Yes.
Yes, okay. In terms of preparation, though, for burial, how did you guys prepare, especially from government standpoint and relaying that information to the people now in terms of preparation?
Mm-hmm. Yes, in terms of the preparation, I mean, for me, I would say, it was a standard level of the notices going out. So we knew well in advance that there was a system approach, and at the time, it was, I believe, only a tropical depression that was approaching us. Probably, I think it was a week before, that actually got close. So we had the regular warnings from the government, the disaster emergency management, and the Met Office, giving us regular updates as to the progression of the system. So in that regard, we would have people doing the regular preparations of making sure they're stocked up with food, trying to remove any types of projectiles from around the home and stuff like that. And, even for the fishery sector, it was so shocking to see, because the boats and everything were brought in and brought into the dock. But it was so unfortunate that what we didn't anticipate was the level of force that type of system would have had. Members of the fishery sector who would have been in the industry for 40, 50 years, said they had never seen anything like it. And not only the vessels were destroyed, but the infrastructure in terms of the dock itself was completely damaged as well. Wow.
So at least now you guys are basically, doing the necessary cleanup and what it takes to get back on track.
Yeah, we're doing necessary cleanup and trying to get things back on track as quickly as possible, but at the same time, putting preparations and plans in place to see what could have possibly been done differently, dealing with a system of this type of strength so that, we much better prepared going forward.
All right, my brother, anything else you want to just, plug in there before I release you, as it were?
Just send prayers and support to our other brothers and sisters, in Grenada and St. Vincent, who have been, more heavily impacted than us.
Yeah.
And, just wishing all the best to all of us as we try to get through this season.
All right, Mr. Josiah Ford, thank you very much indeed for giving us an update from the Barbados end of things as it pertains to the effects of Beryl, Hurricane Beryl, that is.
Great, thank you. Have a good afternoon.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. All right, folks, that is it. You just heard the voice of Mr. Josiah Ford, resident in Barbados, basically giving us an update, telling us that it's more or less the fishing industry that really got the brunt in terms of the effects of Hurricane Beryl, but they are now trying their best to do the necessary cleanup and also looking at ways to improve just in case something like that would visit them in the future. Yeah. So, Mr. Ford, thank you very, very much indeed. Let me see now if I can hop across to St. Vincent and the Grenadines to get that all-important update as well.
Hey, Lofty.
Hi, Miss King, how are you?
Not bad at all.
Thank you for taking my call. I know you're a very busy buddy.
Say that again?
I said thank you for taking and accepting my call. I know you're a very busy buddy.
Anything for you, Lofty. Anything for you.
Good, good.
Are we on air now?
Yes, we are live. We are live.
Oh, okay. Well, good evening to your listeners. I actually thought that I would have been on later this evening.
Well, we finished with Barbados a little earlier, so then hence you came in a little earlier.
Say that again? I didn't hear you, sorry.
We finished our rapport with Barbados a bit earlier than I expected.
Oh, okay. Let me
Is it raining by your end, Adriana?
I'm not hearing you.
I'm asking, is it raining by your end?
No, it's not raining. It rained earlier today for just a bit. No great shower, just a little drizzle. But it's not raining right now. I am actually, let me see. If you're hearing any sort of sound, it should be my fan.
Okay, so that is what I was hearing.
Now?
Yes, it's better now.
Is this better?
Much better, yes.
Okay, great. Great.
Yeah, so Miss King, I made contact with you earlier and just gave you a heads up that I'll be making contact later to just give us an update in Dominica as it pertains to the effects that Hurricane Beryl left with you guys in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. What can you tell us?
Okay. Now, I live on the so most of what I can relay to your audience would be from what my friends in the Grenadines told me. Of course, some people were able to do lives on Facebook, so we're getting some information from them. Mm-hmm. Our National Emergency Management Organization isn't too forthcoming with information, so we're unable to rely on them at this point for in terms of structural damage. But in terms of quite a bit of our banana, coconuts, just crops in general. Now the Grenadines, the southernmost islands, were hit the hardest. Mm-hmm. So those would include Union Island, Mairo, Cano, and of course we know Carriacou, Petit Martinique. Now there were also damage on Bequia and the other northern islands. But like I said, the southernmost islands were, ravaged. Mm-hmm. Union Island and Cano reports coming out of those islands and Mairo completely destroyed. I think there are about maybe 2 structures on Union Island, a few more on Cano, and Mairo seems to have been totally destroyed. All the shelters, government shelters on those islands have been destroyed, and so most people are sleeping on the tarpaulin, some are using tents. Those who are lucky are those who had upstairs and downstairs structures, but not all of them. So those people who do have a downstairs, they're housing their neighbors and friends, that sort of thing. About there are 100 or so people have already been evacuated. Most of our schools have been damaged. Schools, for instance, have lost their roofs. Churches have lost their roofs. So right now we just have a lot of displaced people in the southern Grenadines. Mm-hmm. And, the strangest thing is happening here right now on mainland. We are having carnival all time of year. And one would think that amidst all of this disaster, all of this damage, even the police release still states that 3/4 of the nation are still without electricity. But we're having carnival. Monday and Tuesday will be carnival. Monday and carnival, Tuesday and St. Vincent and Grenadines. So I feel...
Yes, a matter of fact, I saw some release out from St. Vincent suggesting about some shortened hours for carnival celebrations.
I don't know, because I'm in the 12.
Adriana, what I'm going to do, I suspect I'm not getting you properly. I'm not hearing you properly, Adriana, via this mode. So I'm going to end it and then call you direct. Let's see if that rectifies the problem, because I'm hearing half of what you're saying sometimes. So I'm going to call you back.
Problem.
All right, folks, my apology here. You'd well imagine without power in St. Vincent and Grenadines, I guess that is affecting this quality of signal on Miss King's end. So let me just see if I could make a direct call to her to see if we could straighten up that signal here so we can get every word from her. Yeah? Let's just try that one more time. Hi, Adriana, you're back with me. Let's hope that I can hear you much better, much clearer this time.
Okay, I was hearing you loud and clear.
Okay, well, I wasn't hearing you loud and clear, and you know communication is two-way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, I was...
But we're still having some problems with electricity and internet, so I think that might be part of it.
Okay, so that's understandable. I was basically hinting to you earlier. I saw a communique, I think out of the government, that is basically cutting down on some celebration hours for Carnival.
Yes.
So from what time to what time?
I'm not certain of the time. Let me see if I can get that information for you. But what I can tell you for sure is that we've had two such communiques within 24 hours. And okay, so the latest one is saying that today Saturday everything will be shut down by 2 a.m. So we're going from 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. And tomorrow the Mardi Gras will be from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. And Monday Juve will be from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And then the street party or the t-shirt band will be from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then on Tuesday, we'll have the mass, which is 10 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Wow. So amidst all of that berry left with you guys, the decision was still taken to go forward with Carnival celebrations?
You know, it's the weirdest thing, Lottie. And like I was saying earlier, I feel as though I'm in the twilight zone. Wow. Because here we are, begging people for assistance, and we're in the streets of Kingston behaving as though we have no cares in the world. You know, sometimes we lambaste mothers and say, oh, they want to take part in parties before they buy their children school books. But what are we doing as a nation? We're begging for assistance to rebuild. We're begging for food. There are people right now, Lottie, who are in shelters, who do not have mattresses, who do not have shade, who do not have food. And this is not because there's a lack at the National Emergency Management Organization, you know. This is simply because they are hoarding things. Sometimes, well, I also have one story where they went to one particular shelter, and because the shelter manager wasn't there, they took back the food to their office. You know, it's just crazy. It really is crazy what is happening here in St. Vincent. I cannot describe it to anyone else. It is just total madness. Because I do not understand how we could be having a carnival amidst all of the pain that is happening here in this country right now. People are traumatized. People have lost their entire, their existence. They've lost their homes. They've lost their clothing. They've lost everything. But we are celebrating Carnival.
So Adriana, can you paint a picture for us here as it relates to the Grenadines part versus St. Vincent proper, in terms of the destruction?
Okay, now like I said, the lower Grenadines Islands, the southern Grenadine Islands, those have been destroyed. They are no more.
Okay.
I mean, no more. On one island, there's, like I said, there's about 2 houses that are still standing, but they have been totally destroyed. Their schools have been destroyed, their homes have been destroyed, their streets, the electricity poles, everything. When I tell you these islands have been flattened, picture, way back when perhaps the Arawaks were trying to get to these islands.
Wow.
So when you go to these islands, we're right about now, totally flattened.
So what is
But
the...
like I said, in mainland, it's more so the agricultural damage. Few houses have been lifted up. A couple schools have lost their roofs, and a couple churches have lost their roofs as well.
Okay. Yeah, in terms of the resiliency of the buildings on a whole in St. Vincent, how would you rate it in terms of you guys being able to withstand at least what burial brought to you guys?
Well, by the time burial came to us was category 4. And we know that is pretty destructive, even for the best of infrastructure. They would take a pounding, as we put it. But as one minister of Metal Parliament stated, the Honorable Daniel Cummings, that he went to Union Island and he did a brief report. And what he noted, he's also an engineer, let me just put that in there.
Yes.
He noted that the galvanized that we use here seems to be a problem, because the beams and the plywood covering for the houses, those remain intact for most. But the galvanized, that they're flying in the wind, some are wrapped around poles, they're just all over. So what went for most of the homes were the galvanized.
Okay. So based on his...
So we definitely in the future have to look into something more sturdy, have more weighty than what we use right now.
Yeah. So what is the government itself, doing in terms of helping the people cope and rebound?
Well, that's a question the government could answer. Our Prime Minister went down there, and I call it his parade. He went around and he shook hands and promised all sorts of things. But if you were to tune in to my Facebook page, for instance, I try to post a live from people in the Grenadines. To this day, it is Saturday, this happened on Monday. And even after the Prime Minister has visited, there are people still crying out. They don't have any food, they're running out of water, they have nowhere to sleep, they have no clothing. And right now, they're scrambling, trying to get generators on the island. And these are things that are coming in from private people who are just pulling up with their boats. To say that there has been any sort of strong effort from the government, I'm not seeing it. So I'm really not seeing it. So.
Well, Adriana, I just wish you guys, well in terms of as you guys try to bounce back out of this terrible hurricane that, descended on you guys, especially in the Grenadines area. And so any final thoughts before we go?
Just to say that if people are planning to help those who are in the Grenadines, I would recommend strongly that they do not go through the government, they do not go through our National Emergency Management Organization. They have been in a habit of hoarding. For instance, after the volcanic eruption in 2021, we received hundreds of water tanks
from governments around the region and private organizations. And those tanks are still in storage here in St. Vincent and Grenadines. A number of items that were received in 2021 were eventually disposed of because they were kept there so long they spoiled. So for me, try to get in touch with someone who's on the ground in the Grenadines and try to get whatever help, whatever assistance directly in the hands of the people of the Grenadines. That will be my last thing here to say.
Wow. All right, Ms. King, thank you very much indeed. We have some other business to talk about, but I guess in a subsequent...
Yes, we do, don't we?
In a subsequent chit-chat, we'll do that.
We certainly get that done. You know, it's interesting how you just have to put self aside every so often.
I know. But things happen, but when it have to happen, it will happen.
True.
Keep the
faith. Thank you for having me on up today.
Yes, keep the faith. Stay strong.
Okay, thank you.
By the way, how is your brother? Mr. What's his name? Kenton, yes.
He's doing fine. He had a job sale today. You know, we do what we have to do to survive.
Good. I know that. You guys are warriors in your own rights.
We tried.
All right. Miss King, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you again, and good night to the audience.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Dominicans, those of you listening abroad as well, you just heard the voice of none other than Miss Adriana King, a social activist. I call her a teacher from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, bringing us sort of an update in terms of how it is now as we speak in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Just to recap, she said that in spite of the situation, really the effects that burial brought to them, it would seem as if things are going on as usual, with St. Vincent and the Grenadines still having their carnival celebrations going on, which we've curtailed hours, that is, but things are moving on. She also said that there are persons still under tents, persons without homes, and so, you know, you can well imagine that kind of disastrous situation in the wake of the passage of Hurricane Beryl. But it struck me that at least for that time, the celebrations could not be pushed back or postponed. But I guess that is how the people of St. Vincent decide to do it, and so we respect the wishes nonetheless. Yes? All right, folks, that is it in terms of an update. As I said, I was trying very, very, very hard to get as well an update from Jamaica, but in terms of the contacts that I tried there, the telephone calls were not going through, and so you'd well imagine with power down, internet down as well, the communication is kind of sketchy at this time, but I will try my best, maybe in a subsequent announcement, a program that is, to bring you guys some information coming out of Jamaica. In my mind, these were the 3 countries within our region that got, you know, the harder pounding from burial as it continued to make its way up now to the US, Texas, I'm being told. And so we just hope and pray that at least it cooled down. But based on what we're hearing, that is not the situation. So we just hope and pray that everybody in its path now continue to keep safe indeed. Yeah? All right, Dominicans, what is the time? 7 o'clock, I believe. We are right on the money. Yes, 7:02. We are right on the money indeed. Let me just play a song now, just to sort of break the tension, as it were. You can stretch your legs now. We'll come right back in terms of some more national business in just a while. Yeah, let's just do this, and we'll be back in just a bit. Where are you, my brother? This one is one of my favorites from this brother. All right, Dominicans, I think we can continue on our journey here. Thank you, Brother Nasir Fontaine, indeed, for this number entitled Vain Thoughts. Yeah, Vain Thoughts. Okay, let us get down now, Dominicans, to some of the more national-minded issues. And as I said in my preamble, I told you guys that I'll be bringing you some facts as it relates to some utterances, writings, letters, whatever it is, read the ongoing situation where Dominica, as we speak, presently don't have, as per the Constitution mandate, a leader of the opposition in position as we speak. Yeah? And some people have coined it to be a constitutional or political crisis, and so whatever you choose to coin it, it is up to you. I am going now, Dominicans, to get to some writings, some letters. What I want to tell you straight off the bat, I am not going to, in large measure, prejudice these letters by giving you my personal or honest thoughts. I'm not going down that road. I am just going to present the letters to you, those of you who have not seen the letters in question. And I would want to think, after having seen these letters, then, and knowing much more in detail about these letters, read that ongoing battle now. You will make a conscious decision, and you will decide where the chips fall. Yeah? So, Dominican, the first letter that I want to show you here, it is this letter that was done by none other than the brother, Mr. Anthony Charles, from the Marigot constituency. All right, that letter, I will read you that letter from him and then give you an idea of just when he did that letter and for the reasons why he did that letter. So first of all, that letter, it was signed by him, Mr. Charles, on the 29th of November 2022. All right? Before a notary public in Dominica, and that notary public, it is none other than Mr. David Bruni. Yeah? Good. Let us now go through the contents of that letter. What he had to say then in front of Mr. David Bruni as it relates back then to he being elected by the people from the Marigot constituency. It says here, Commonwealth of Dominica, in the matter of the Statutory Declaration Act, Chapter 5 and Section 53 of the Revised Laws of Dominica 2017, and in the matter of the candidacy of Anthony Samora Charles for the Marigot constituency at the December 2022 general elections in the Commonwealth of Dominica. Now, that is where things start to get serious now. Statutory declaration, that letterhead says, 1. Anthony Samora Charles, farmer of Wales Marigot in the parish of St. Andrew in the Commonwealth of Dominica, do solemnly and sincerely declare as follows. 1. That on the 18th day of November 2022, I was nominated to contest the 2022 general elections in the Commonwealth of Dominica as an independent candidate for the Marigot constituency. Now, folks, pay particular attention to some of the phrase, some of the words that you'll be hearing, because for sure it will come back, or it should come back to make much sense to you as things start to unfold. So again, one says that on the 18th day of November 2022, I was nominated to contest the 2022 general elections in the Commonwealth of Dominica as an independent candidate for the Marigot constituency. 2, I am in no way affiliated with the Dominica Labour Party whatsoever, nor am I an agent or associate of Roosevelt Skerry. I have not been paid or compensated in any way by the Dominica Labour Party or Roosevelt Skerry to contest the December 22 general elections. 3, if I become the winning candidate for the Marigot constituency at the December 2022 general elections, I can confirm that I will not cross the floor to join the Dominica Labour Party, and I will at all material times represent the interests of my constituents. Pay particular attention, people, to words. The final paragraph reads, I make this declaration conscientiously, believing the same to be true and according to the Statutory Declaration Act, and I am aware that if there is any statement in this declaration which is false in fact, which I know or believe to be false, or do not believe to be true, I am liable to a fine and or imprisonment. Declared on the 13th River Street, Roseau, this 29th day of November 2022, signed by Mr. Anthony Samora Charles. Before me, that is Mr. David Bruni, the notary public in Dominica, and David Bruni's stamp is right here. His seal is right here on that letter, which basically makes that letter, whatever is written on there, should represent something because of that seal of that lawyer is on there. So I would want to think it can hold some weight as it pertains to anything legal from then on, as it relates to Mr. Anthony Samora Charles and his representation now of the people of the Marigot constituency. All right? So folks, you heard the letter. That letter, that is the declaration that statutory declaration that is, that Mr. Anthony Charles basically did when he was about to contest the general elections of 2022. As I said, I will not be giving you guys my impression of things. I just want you guys to take note of the facts so far surrounding that situation. Now, I have in my possession here another letter, and that letter, its heading is Agreement Concerning the Position of a Leader of the Opposition. Again, I want to reiterate the heading of that letter. Agreement. So there was agreement concerning the position of leader of the opposition. And that agreement was signed by none other than Jesma Paul Victor and also Anthony Charles. Jesma Paul Victor, as we know it, won the seat in the Salisbury constituency. Mr. Charles won the seat in the Marigot constituency as independent candidates. Yeah? That agreement between these two people who won their seats as independent candidates states as follows. By this agreement, dated the 9th day of December 2022, we, Jesma Paul Victor of Salisbury in the Commonwealth of Dominica, and Anthony Charles of Marigot in the Commonwealth of Dominica, hereby agree as follows. 1. The parties agree, and the parties meaning two of them, they agree to share equally the position of leader of opposition until the next dissolution of Parliament. It is agreed that Jesma Paul Victor shall serve as leader of the opposition for a period of 18 months, and thereafter Anthony Charles shall serve as leader of the opposition for a period of 18 months. The remaining months shall be shared equally between the two parties pursuant to a subsequent agreement. So, if I would just explain what I understand that paragraph 1 said, Jesma Paul Victor would serve first 18 months, Anthony Charles would serve a second or the next 18 months. And critically here, it says now, the remaining months, whatever months that is remaining in that 5-year cycle. Well, we know of late, there's no longer a 5-year cycle when it comes to elections in Dominica. But they were presuming, I am assuming, that it would be a 4.5, 5-month cycle. So they assume here by saying the remaining months shall be shared equally between the parties pursuant to a subsequent agreement. Right? Now, I don't want to inject too much of my own utterances, but I must ask a question right there. This paragraph, the remaining months shall be shared equally between the parties pursuant to a subsequent agreement. I am asking, what was in the thinking of these two individuals when they agreed to at least the second portion of paragraph 1? I guess some of you will understand what I am getting at sometime later. Agreement 2 states, the parties shall consult with each other prior to making any nomination or recommendation for appointment to any position. Where an even number of appointments are required, the parties shall share this decision equally. For the avoidance of doubt, this means that if there are 4 senators who must be appointed based on the nomination of the leader of the opposition, each party to this agreement will be entitled to select 2 of the said 4 senators for nomination. That is clear enough. Let's move on. 3. Where there is a position which can be occupied by only one person based on the nomination or recommendation of the leader of the opposition, the parties agree to consult with each other prior to making the nomination. It is agreed that each party shall take consecutive turns at making the casting vote if there is a disagreement. This means that if Jesma Paul Victor has the casting vote for one decision, then Anthony Charles shall have the casting vote for the subsequent decision. I hope you guys are understanding the lingo. Huh? 4. Where the Prime Minister or any decision maker is required to consult with the leader of the opposition prior to the making of any decision, the parties agree to make every effort to discuss and provide the said decision maker with a mutually agreed response. And that agreement was signed by, as I said before, the 2 elected members who went up as independent candidates. Good. No, not this one. Sorry. We dealt with this one already. This one. Now, this letter, people, is another factual letter. This one states, pay particular attention to this one. This one is the letterhead there. Honorable Jesma Paul Victor, Tapiver, Salisbury, Commonwealth of Dominica, and her email address is there, telephone number. The letter starts by saying December 9th, 2022, via hand delivery. His Excellency Honorable Charles Angelo Savre, President of the Commonwealth of Dominica, Ruzu, Dominica. Your Excellency, Mr. President, as a result of the general elections held on December 6, 2022, 2 independent candidates were returned who do not support the government majority in Parliament. 1 independent candidate in the name of Anthony Charles from the Marigot constituency, and the other is yours truly, Jesma Paul Victor, from the constituency of Salisbury. It says here, pursuant to your authority, and that is Jesma now speaking to Charles Angelo Savre as president. Pursuant to your authority under Section 66 of the Constitution, we hereby nominate Jesma Paul Victor to be the leader of the opposition in Parliament of Dominica for a term of 18 months. Commencing from the date of appointment. Following the expiration of Ms. Jesma Paul Victor, let me take that again. Following the expiration of Ms. Jesma Paul Victor's term, we nominate Anthony Charles to be leader of the opposition for the following 18 months. Prior to the expiration of Anthony Charles's term in office, we intend to inform you of who commands the support of the majority of members who do not support the government. So folks, you remember in a prior letter, basically, and that is why I had to ask a question about the remainder. After 18 and 18, 36 months would have expired. Jesma would have served, Anthony would have served as leader of opposition. The remainder, it is coming back here. And it is saying here, Jesma is saying to Charles Angelo Savre, prior to the expiration of Anthony Charles's term in office, that is, if things had went as per agreement, we, that is 2 of them, intend to inform you, or whoever sits in the chair as president, of now who commands the support of the majority of members who do not support the government. And that letter to the president was signed by Jesma Paul Victor, parliamentary representative for Salisbury, and also down here, Mr. Charles, Anthony Charles, signed that letter as well. Okay? So basically, folks, what I am getting here is that as we read that letter, the last letter, before we get into the order, before we get into this one, Charles Savarin, the president then, was made aware of Jesma's and Anthony's decision to share the leadership position of opposition via letter, and Charles Savarin then, as president, I would want to think, agreed with Jesma and Anthony in terms of the sharing of that leadership position. Charles Savarin is no longer there. We now have, what's her name, as president, Mrs. Burton as president. And so I'd want to think whatever letter that binded Charles Savarin then to act, that same letter would still stand now, as Miss Sylvanie Burton is now the president of Dominica. The letter we read before, people, it is a very, very crucial letter, because Charles Savarin used as part of that letter, make that letter, I am assuming, as part of his authority to confer on Jesma the leader of opposition position. I'll say no more on that for now. Now, here is the final letter in the scheme of things. This letter states, High Excellency Sylvanie Burton, President of the Commonwealth of Dominica, State House, Victoria Street, Roseau, Commonwealth of Dominica, 20th of June, 2024. So we now fast tracking things now. So we are no longer in 2022, we're in 2024 now in terms of that letter. Let me just see if I could pull up something there from my end. Just 1 minute, people. Okay, good. It says here, High Excellency, in accordance with the provision of Section 66(2) of the Constitution of Dominica, we, the undersigned members of the House of Assembly, who do not support the government, hereby confirm that elected member Honorable Jesma Paul Victor commands our support to be appointed leader of the opposition by the president. You understand what that letter is saying, people? Let me just run it by your end again. High Excellency, in accordance with the provision of Section 66(2) of the Constitution of Dominica, we, the undersigned members, and remember, people, that letter was dated, as I said, 20th of June, 2024. The previous letters, the dates also are very important in terms of when Jesma picked up the leadership position and when she should have quote-unquote, given it up and made way for Anthony Charles. So it says here, in accordance with provision 66 of the Constitution, we, the undersigned members of the House of Assembly, who do not support the government, hereby confirm that elected member, Honorable Jesma Paul Victor, commands our support to be appointed leader of the opposition by the President. Please be guided accordingly, and it is signed by, let's see, Senator Delbert Paris, Senator Laurie Victor. Now, Senator Delbert Paris, just for clarification, people, he was given the nod by the elected member of Marigot to serve as senator in the parliament. That is Mr. Anthony Charles. Laurie Victor was made senator by Jesma Paul. Senator Shakira, well, not Shakira, sorry. Shalikia Vidal, okay, was made senator as a result of Jesma Paul Victor. And last but by no means least, Senator Lauren Henderson Reed was given the nod by Mr. Anthony Charles of Marigot. And Jesma Paul signed the letter down there as Honorable Jesma Paul. So 5 people signed that letter on the 20th of June 2024. That is just a couple of weeks ago. Basically asking the President, that is Mrs. Sylvanie Britton, to once again give Jesma the nod to be leader of the opposition, because now they are saying that they are in agreement by their signature that Jesma Paul is the one that is now commanding the majority of votes as it pertains to those in opposition, those opposing the government in parliament. Right? And then we all heard and saw the letter that emanated now from the President's office, basically washing her hands on that request, saying that that cannot happen. All right, people? Let me see if I pull up that letter for you as the last letter before we get into the last segment, before we close down things here. Let me just see if I pull up that letter for you, people. All right, let me just share that. Yeah. So as a result of that letter, people, which is letter number 4 that you read tonight, letter number 5 is coming up from the President now. And we're going to see the response, or hear the response from the President herself. Okay. So the President is now responding on the 20th of June, 2024. The letter ahead of the President right here. Honorable Jesma Paul Victor, Parliamentary Representative for the Salisbury constituency in care of the House of Assembly, Victoria Street, Roseau Commonwealth of Dominica. There, Honorable Jesma Paul Victor, I have been directed to acknowledge your receipt I have been directed to acknowledge receipt of your letter dated 20th June 2024, addressed to Her Excellency Sylvanie Burton, President of the Commonwealth of Dominica, in which you advised of your intention to resign as leader of the opposition in Parliament on the Commonwealth of the Commonwealth of Dominica, with immediate effect. All right, that letter, in terms of that resignation letter, people, that is not in my archive, so I cannot bring you that resignation letter that Jesma sent to the president, okay? But the president now is responding to Jesma on her resignation letter as leader of the opposition in Dominica. It says, I have been directed to acknowledge receipt of your letter dated 20th of June. So the president is confirming with us, Jesma Paul Victor sent in a letter on the 20th of June 2024 advising the president that she is resigning as opposition leader in the Parliament of Dominica with immediate effect. The president continues by saying here, in order to fill the vacant position of leader of the opposition, the elected, note that people, the elected members of the House who do not support the government would be required to submit a joint letter to the president informing whom they now support to be appointed leader of the opposition in accordance with Section 66 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Dominica. Thanks, and please be guided accordingly. Yours sincerely, and it is signed by Donnell Blackmore, that is the president's secretary, for and on behalf of the president, and that letter was copied to a number of people, including the Prime Minister and Mr. Anthony Charles himself, and the Speaker of the House of Assembly. Folks, I know it is a mouthful, but basically these are some of the factual notes, the factual writings that have been in play and making the rounds as it relates to the situation where we are now, where the leader of the opposition position is vacant as we speak. Now, I know, it depends on who you speak to. It depends on who you speak to. You will get a different version as to who may be wrong, who may be right. It depends on who you speak to as well. You will get their perspective on things. There are certain things that I know from a factual standpoint that is happening or has happened in the grapevine where that situation is concerned. But for tonight's discussion, I believe it is sort of premature to go into some of what I know to bring it out to you from a very factual standpoint. So I'm holding back, at least for now. But what I can say from where I sit and based on what I know, to sum up what has been happening in Dominica politics, and I'm speaking now from both sides of the aisle, government side, opposition side. It just happens that the government side can and have been holding their strain a little better, so that what you see now being made manifest in the opposition side of things, it is a mirror image of what transpires in the government side of things as well. But for some reason, the government side seems to be holding it together much tighter to the chest. So this sort of explosion, I call it, it is more or less seen and heard on the opposition side. But Dominicans, my true and honest opinion about all that, politics is a very divisive thing. In Dominica, as we speak, I can tell you straight up that the way politics is run in this country, it is as if cat, you know cat, C-A-T, is watching rat, R-A-T. That is in the most common way I can put it, so that you guys, everybody out there, could understand what I am saying from my perspective, how I see it, and how I choose to deal with it. The politics in Dominica, especially the partisan politics now, the actors there, it is like cat watching rat and vice versa. So we are where we are in Dominica because of that kind of attitude. And let me qualify that attitude now by punching it at you now. We are where we are because of that selfish attitude, where political power is concerned. And so some people are more naive than others. Some people are more novice than others. Some people are more politically prudent than others. And so you now have that potpourri that normally sometimes boils over in the public domain, in the public sphere. And I'll be very, very honest with you people. The talk, and I say the talk, of coming together, now I'm referring to opposition forces now. It is merely, from how I see it, a talk. So there are some situations that there's some collaboration happening. And I must agree, I must admit. But as to that unity now that we have been preaching about, that must be had in order to overhaul what is it that we want to achieve, my friends, it is as if, as I said before, cat watching rat and rat watching cat. And with that attitude, with that posture, we are not getting anywhere quick in Dominica as it pertains to how the country now should be run as a country. And so they say in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. And it translates now to our situation in Dominica. And folks, I am being very upfront and honest with you. I speak my mind. I know there are some people who may not want to hear it. I know some people who would like to hear it, but it doesn't matter. If we in Dominica, and I'm specifically zeroing now in on opposition forces in Dominica, if we have to see any light of day where the governance of this country is concerned, some things have to make or take 180 degrees like yesterday. letters that I read to you, that is now in the public domain as it pertains to the fiasco that has taken over two independent candidates, they call themselves, and the leader of the opposition position in Dominica. It gives you a snapshot. It gives you an idea of where we are in Dominica as it relates to the politics of the day. Now, as I said, who you talk to, you will get their perspective, and everybody would want to or always put their story out in a way to suit their narrative, which is fine. But at the end of the day, the narrative that's supposed to be there for Dominica to grow, that is lacking. And so you will hear that side. You will hear that side. You will hear in between. But at the end of the day, it is the country that suffers. And if you ask me, people, if you ask me, it has been done in other jurisdictions before. And I am in constant contact with, for example, some people in the region who gone down that road before. They were right there, like where we are today. And I constantly keep at them, asking them, how did they overhaul or overcame their problem? Exactly a replica of what we are facing today. And one of the common denominators that keep coming up whenever I speak to these people in the region who have been there, done that, the word or the words effective strategy keeps coming over and over again. Mr. Ferdinand Lawrence is asking, who nominated Mr. Charles? Well, it has to be two people from the Marigot constituency. As to who are the two, I am not sure. So what we need in Dominica, we don't need passion. If it's for passion alone about our political party or parties, this Roosevelt-carried regime, rogue regime that is, would have been gone already a long time. If it was for passion, because Dominicans, we are very passionate about our politics. If you want a passionate people about politics, you come to Dominica. If the airwaves, the radio airwaves are opened up for 7 days a week, non-stop, the airwaves will be bombarded with passion, political passion. But can passion alone cut it? No. Passion is a key ingredient, but we have been missing the mark. What we need in Dominica, it is for these very passionate people now to muster what it takes, put down what they have to put down, and come around a table as Dominicans and put Dominica's interests first, not the call of the party, not the independency, not the Dominica, and decide, you know something, let us do something for country. And come up with now an effective strategy. There have been strategies, but I can tell you the strategies have not been working because they have not been adhered to. And the strategy cannot be in one person's head. No. A group of people have to come, decide, you know something, let us agree to disagree wherever we have fallen short in terms of whatever it is against each other. Decide to put that down. Lay down. So if a brother did something to you in the year 2000, we are in 2024. Whatever that brother or sister did to you in 2000, you should not have it on your heart still. That is a form of retarding progress. If a sister did something to you in the year 2014, we are in 2024, people. Time has rolled on, and so should you and I. Dominicans, I am right there. I am on the ground. I am in the, they say, he who is in the kitchen feels the heat. Well, I am in the kitchen. And so I know the kind of political temperature that Dominicans have within their marrows. I know the political tenderness. I know the political itchiness. I know the political sadness. I know the political, should I say, hatred? Yes, that some people in Dominica have for each other because of things that went on, as we say in Dominica, Nani Canal, donkey is back. It is still lingering and always festering ever so often. And if these people know exactly, they know exactly what I'm talking about, they will not tell you. They know exactly what I'm talking about because they are the authors, they are the architects of what I'm talking about. And so this thing about unity, there cannot be a united front moving forward with so many things that you are holding on to, my brothers and sisters. No way. I told somebody, and I'll repeat it here tonight, so that at least you guys can hear as well my thoughts, honest thoughts. As much as I want this cabal to go, I am equally as fearful as well. Another set of people take up the reins of political power in this country, and within the first 6 weeks, everything will crash. I want to repeat that. As much as I want this cabal to go, like yesterday, I am equally fearful as well that another bunch of people who would have picked up the political reins of power to run this country, promising that is, and within 6 weeks, the bottom of the basket would have dropped off because of what I said before. And so it is all well and good to plan to move forward, but things must be done in order. There must be some kind of reconciliation, my brothers and sisters. There must be some kind of making amends. There must be some kind of forgiveness. There must be some kind of laying it down. Laying down your political burdens. It's only then and then some of us will find political rest. Some of us, we are hunted politically. And it cannot be. It cannot be. You are talking unity, but we are not walking unity. We are not doing unity. It cannot be. And so that is why some people, when they say, and I understand where they're coming out from now. We have 4 minutes. It is better the devil you know than the angel you don't know. Some people pick up that posture because of what they know. So some people, sadly so, they are prepared to weather the storm as it will. And it is a storm with whoever is there, than to take a chance, risk it, and put it in the hands of another set that I say now may just be letting what that there look like or feel like a walk in the park. So Dominicans, we know ourselves. We have to agree to disagree. We have to agree to disagree. I just want to play a final thing to our hearing, in our hearing, and then bring it to a close tonight in terms of my comments on just how I see it in order for us to move forward. Take a listen, Dominicans. Take a listen. Yeah.
You have to go through life. I'll repeat that. I want you to have passion.
I'm sorry.
You have to have a strategy. Not just awareness, but action.
Where are you?
Not just hashtags, but votes. You
Where?
see, change requires more than righteous anger. It requires a program and it requires organizing. The 1964 Democratic Convention.
All right, Dominicans, I'm just trying to pull that up. Yes, now. Yeah. Right here. Taking a little time to load up exactly how I want it, so just give me 2 minutes and we'll be right on our way. Here's something very, very inspirational, and then we'll bring it to a wrap tonight, yeah? Remembering tomorrow is the big day, Dominicans. At least the final piece here is for us to do whatever needs to be done, and make your way to the arch tomorrow, yeah? Okay, I think I have that. All right, where I want that now. Yeah. Take a listen, Dominicans. Let me just pan that camera here now. You will detect who is the inspiration behind that piece, but I think that is what Dominica needs right about now.
You have to go through life with more than just passion for change. You need a strategy. You have to go.
Okay, folks, those of you who don't know that voice, that is the voice of former President of America, Black brother, Mr. Barack Obama, yeah?
Go through life with more than just passion for change. You need a strategy. I'll repeat that. I want you to have passion. You have to have a strategy. Not just awareness, but action. Not just hashtags, but votes. You see, change requires more than righteous anger. It requires a program and it requires organizing. The 1964 Democratic Convention, Fannie Lou Hamer, 5 feet 4 inches tall, gave a fiery speech on the national stage. But then she went back home to Mississippi and organized cotton pickers. And she didn't have the tools and technology where you can whip up a movement in minutes. She had to go door to door. But to bring about structural change, lasting change, awareness is not enough. It requires changes in law, changes in custom. If you care about mass incarceration, let me ask you, how are you pressuring members of Congress to pass the criminal justice reform bill now pending before them? If you care about better policing, do you know who your district attorney is? Do you know who your state's attorney general is? Do you know the difference? Do you know who appoints the police chief? And who writes the police training manual? Find out who they are, what their responsibilities are. Mobilize the community, present them with a plan, work with them to bring about change, hold them accountable if they do not deliver. Passion is vital, but you got to have a strategy. And your plan better include voting.
Dominicans, I just want to put that into your hearing one more time.
Plan better include voting. Not just some of the time vital, but you got to have a strategy. And your plan better include voting. Not just some of the time, but all of the time. It is absolutely true that 50 years after the Voting Rights Act, there are still too many barriers in this country to vote. There are too many people trying to erect new barriers to voting. This is the only advanced democracy on earth that goes out of its way to make it difficult for people to vote. And there's a reason for that. There's a legacy to that. Change requires more than just speaking out. It requires listening as well. In particular, it requires listening to those with whom you disagree and being prepared to compromise. You know, when I was a state senator, I helped pass Illinois' first racial profiling law. And one of the first laws in the nation requiring the videotaping of confessions in capital cases. And we were successful because early on, I engaged law enforcement. I didn't say to them, "Oh, you guys are so racist, you need to do something." I understood, as many of you do, that the overwhelming majority of police officers are good and honest and courageous and fair and love the communities they serve. And we knew there were some bad apples, and that even good cops with the best of intentions, including, by the way, African American police officers, might have unconscious biases, as we all do. So we engaged and we listened and we kept working until we built consensus. And because we took the time to listen, we crafted legislation that was good for the police because it improved the trust and cooperation of the community, and it was good for the communities who were less likely to be treated unfairly. There will be times when you shouldn't compromise your core values, your integrity, and you will have the responsibility to speak up in the face of injustice. But listen, engage. If the other side has a point, learn from them. If they're wrong, rebut them, teach them, beat them on the battlefield of ideas. And you might as well start practicing now, because one thing I can guarantee you, you will have to deal with ignorance, hatred, racism, foolishness, trifling. fair, but life has never been completely fair. Nobody promised a crystal state. And if you want to make life fair, then you've got to start with the world as it is. So, that's my advice. That's how you change things. Change isn't something that happens every 4 years or 8 years. Change is not placing your faith in any particular politician and then just putting your feet up and saying, okay, go. Change is the effort of committed citizens who hitch their wagons to something bigger than themselves and fight for it every single day. Now it's your turn. And the good news is you're ready. And when your journey seems too hard, when you run into a chorus of cynics who tell you that you're being foolish to keep believing, or that you can't do something, or that you should just give up, or you should just settle, you might say to yourself a little phrase that I've found handy these last 8 years. Yes, we can.
All right, Mr. Obama, thank you very, very much indeed. Yes, we can. So, folks, basically, that is it for the conversation tonight. As you just heard Brother Barack Obama said, passion is good. But passion with a strategy, an effective strategy that is much better. And so I am of the firm opinion that that is what we need in Dominica now. It's not passion only. We have lots and loads of passion in Dominica. We need effective strategy. We need effective strategies to get us out of the political mess, the political quagmire in which we have found ourselves. And how are we going to do that? We cannot do that with we watching over our shoulders, watching to see who is trying to do us this and do us that because of the lack of trust. We need to learn to trust each other. How can trust be built? Is by doing what we need to do. Self-introspection, laying down of the arms and just giving it out. Having that very contrite spirit with each other. Unless and until that is done, people, we will continue to be very passionate, but that passion will only bring us where we have been, and it will keep us where we are. Dominicans, thank you very much. Those of you, I want to make a special appeal to you now. You're watching, you know someone in Dominica, tell them their place tomorrow is in Jerusalem. That is what is happening. Be counted. Don't stay home and watch the live feed and you are in Dominica. No. You need to show your face in the place. At least for an hour. At least half an hour. We know everybody busy, but take some time off for country. Set some time aside for your country. That is what is going to really matter at the end of the day, people. It is you being counted. So I really beseech each and every one of us. Let us be at least 3:30, supposed to make a 4 o'clock start. Let us be counted. Our numbers matter. So whatever is happening, whatever will be said, whatever will be done, you need to see and hear it for yourself. In the flesh. So on those words, Dominicans, with those words, I want to leave us tonight and just hope that whatever is left of your evening, it will be good and you will make the best use of it. All right? Thank you very much for your eyes and ears each and every time. Remember, folks, there will be no live active civic rights program tomorrow, but we will be at the Arch tomorrow in God's will. All right? Thank you very much. Let me just say again thank you to the people who made their way here in terms of the sister from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Miss King, that is Andrea King, and also the brother from Barbados who gave us this report That is Mr. Josiah Fort. Yeah? Thank you very much, folks. I know you guys are still tuned in. I always appreciate we engaging as CARICOM or Caribbean people. Yeah? I hope to talk to you guys very soon. That's it, Dominicans. Thank you very much. Gonna do this one from Nasio. When we are done, we'll bring it down.